Yeah.
Good morning.
Yeah, we can start.
Hi, Tim.
Hi, my name is Tim Dundon. I've been here all my life. It's like this is kind of a special place for me. It's like back in 1973, I had a vision that the garden and learning how to deal with what we call waste material in the proper way could start a movement on planet Earth that would bring people together in peace and harmony, and by having the food be alive and full of love. It's like, see, what I do is I've learned that by touching the plants in a loving way and telling them how beautiful they are, they have the same spirit that's inside of us. When you know how it is when you're with somebody or that treats you with love and respect, how you want to do more for them. It's like the plants are the same way. If you treat them disrespectfully and don't take care of them, they won't give you what you need to get out of them. But when you give them love and really good care, it's like they get full of nutrition. They get full of things that you don't get out of the produce that you buy at the market, because a lot of it's about money. It's done with chemical fertilizers. It's done with artificial things that don't give us the same benefit that we get out of natural growing methods.
So you've been thinking about this since 1977?
1973. I actually.
How old were you then?
73. I was 41.
And so.
Actually 31, excuse me. 31. I was born in 1942, so 31 and 73. But I was married the second time, and I kind of got into gardening, and then my wife and I rented a house in Pasadena that I had planted a little garden in the back behind the garage, and saw the miracle of growth. It's like, and I guess according to my mother, one of our ancestors, I guess a great uncle or somebody like that in Germany, was supposed to have been a famous horticulturist. Oh. There was supposed to be a statue of him in one of the cities, or one of the parks in one of the cities.
On your maternal side, you're from Germany. You're German.
Right. Yeah. Well, my mother said that on her side of the family, it goes back to the German royalty. So it's like, if it's true, we never did a genealogy, but she was somebody that wouldn't lie. She was very. She was a really extremely talented violinist, classical. She was so good that she could take the most complicated piece, play through it a couple times, throw the music, and then she could take and write it out note for note and transpose it in any key that you wanted.
Wow.
So she was one of a kind, and it's like, so it's like the music was kind of inbred into me. It's like, but see, by combining the music and the garden and the peaceful attitude in people, plus when we eat the love that's growing in the food, it makes us more loving people. And then when we start really treating each other more and more with love and respect, regardless of what religion or what barrier we've set up, if we break down those barriers and just use love as the weapon to disarm the darkness or put the light on the darkness, and it's like I say, it's like the evil Christians and the evil Muslims are perpetuating war and things that we shouldn't even have anymore. We should have evolved. The human race should have evolved and gotten above all that. But now we're getting together a group of people that are really dedicated to showing people that there's a way to. The last battle is fought in the mind. So my Syrian psychiatrist lady friend is a very powerful psychiatrist that knows how to get inside. She's so good, she very rarely prescribes medication. She will only do it if somebody's going to kill themselves or kill somebody else or really has a problem that can't be dealt with any other way. But she's very good at talking to people and getting them to realize that most of the things are just in our mind. It's just thoughts that we've carried along with us since we were children or whenever. But by getting together now with the right people, with the music, and we're starting garden programs all over the place, to where it's like Aisha is really a great person for the garden. She's got the loving touch, just does so much wonders for bringing forth the good things out of the earth. So we need to get people to learn how to really love the earth and to bring peace and tranquility back to nature. I mean, you see how the weather events are getting more and more intense. It's like there's floods, and I don't know if you saw the tornadoes that hit last week. I mean, it's like, I used to have tornado dreams all the time, but it's like, I haven't had them for a long time, but just seeing that on the news, having to The people that have to go through that must be awful, but I'm sure that if people come together and we treat Mother Earth with love and respect, believe that there's a creator, that if the creator is powerful enough to create the universe, that he, she, it, whatever we want to look at the creator as being, can help us to make peace on earth and make everything happy for everybody on earth. Because the earth is such a tiny speck. Even in our solar system it isn't that big. But when you see how small our solar system is in our galaxy, and then our galaxy, I heard an astronomer lady say that there's hundreds of billions of galaxies in the universe, to where we're such a small speck that even if the whole planet blew up, it wouldn't even be missed, but beautiful thing ever in the whole universe. But we've taken and made it into something that we just exploit and just basically destroy and rape and just treat disrespectfully for the money.
You've taken care of this planet of yours really well.
Well, it's like we're trying to get the idea across. If one old broken down man can do this, think what a bunch of energetic young people could do. I've got a lady that's helping me with, I'm trying to sell the house next to the park. In fact, Aisha maybe really wants to buy it. So, but anyway, her husband is an astrophysicist at JPL at NASA down the street. And her son is 10 years old, and he's just he's a bright, shining superstar already, and she's just a powerful, powerful person. She was born in Canada, but I mean, she's just a extremely powerful person, and it's like the son is like, he's fallen in love with what's happening here, and he looks at me as like I'm going to be some kind of mentor to him, and I'm just really, the kid has so much potential that if we have one child leader, think of how the rest of the children are going to get behind and say, we want to do something to make our future the bright thing that it's supposed to be. Because look at how many kids are out there being sacrificed every day to the gangs, and how about obesity, and how about football? How many kids get killed, at least 10 a year get killed in America just playing football? And it's like, but it's for the big money. You see how money just motivates people to do all kinds of violent things, that we need to get things going on that are peaceful, that we can take out our aggression in a peaceful way. When we see, the earth has the power to take stuff that's, I mean, basically toxic, poisonous, evil, nasty. If we do it right, it can all be neutralized. It all can be turned into something positive. The earthworms, the microbes, and the mycelium, the mushrooms, those three things together can purify and neutralize almost any evil thing.
So is that why you have so much of this?
Well, this is all from the stainless. It's like all this material here. A little extra sound effects.
Sound effects, yeah.
Well, this is a little something that, you know, you can see why some people are so angry. Well, their ego is so swollen up that they have to make a lot of noise just to let people know that they're there. But see, the humble and the quiet people are the ones that are the deepest. That, you know, they say still waters run deep. The people that are quiet and do deep things rather than make a lot of noise are much better to have around than the people that...
Than that.
Well, but we pray for them and we hope the best for them. But it'd be nice when they shut their machines down. But see, if we can make fun of all this stuff, we win.
Yeah.
Because we keep getting thrown all this evil stuff at us all the time, that we have the power to neutralize it. Laughter is one of the best neutralizers going. When we're laughing and happy, you see how it's hard to be depressed when you're laughing and happy? And also there's something that most people don't know, that there's a microbe in composting material, that when we stir it up, just breathing the microbes that get stirred up is the best antidepressant there is. It's better than Paxil or Prozac or any of the chemical stuff that make these horrible side effects. The happiness side effect that the microbe makes is a wonderful thing. And you don't have to go and have more medication. This is the medication that you take to continue the happiness on. I mean, the Swiss chard plant over there, you see how beautiful and how full of life it is. It's like, all this stuff is so, it's just so jam-packed full of the goodness of happiness and love, and just being, they feel like they have somebody that really cares for them. I'm their God. And the real God loves us all and wants the best for us. But you see how the God of the world takes and makes us fight amongst one another. It makes all these divisions that we need to eliminate. We need to focus on our, rather than fight over our differences, we need to celebrate our similarities. When we do that and everybody realizes that, for example, like, look, if we took away the water and we took away all the boundaries, there'd be one planet, one continent, and that would mean that maybe the human race could be one race. And see how much better we'd be off if we didn't fight over space and stupid things about religion. Whose father? My father's more powerful than your father, and if you don't believe it, I'll smash you. That's not what the Father is about, and the Mother especially. The Mother is about, when we have a hurt, we always go to Mama and have her kiss it, right? Mother Earth would kiss all our hurts and boo-boos and make it all better. And when we realize that and do it in the right way and get the right people together, this peace movement is going to take hold, and it's going to sweep the whole earth. And like I say, Syria and Pakistan and the whole Middle East, we can take and use the sun to desalinize the water. I have a plan that by magnifying the sun's rays and building a containment building that's like a nuclear reactor building, but where the reactor is not some evil stuff that makes radiation that kills things for 50,000 years. We use the sun that's there that makes all this happiness happen. We take and desalinize the water, use the sun power to pump it out into the Palestinian land, make it to where the Palestinians, a lot of them are so miserable because the economy doesn't work, because the greedy Israelis take advantage of the situation. I saw where on public broadcasting how they took the Palestinian well and built a fence around it, took and run a water line to their greenhouse so that they could grow flowers to sell to the world, so they could make more of their settlements on the Palestinian land, to where we control them by putting them into a cage. We build a wall around them and make them into basically a concentration camp. And the secret to overcome that is make the concentration camp on the inside so good that you open the door and they don't want to come out, and they're happy. You know what Africanized bees are, right? Some of the people in Africa, when they find the beehive, they destroy it to get the honey. They kill a lot of the bees, so the surviving bees definitely have a bad attitude. If somebody came while you were away and killed your family and took all your family treasure, you'd be hard to not. It would be hard to love them. So the bees just react in a natural way and want to sting and protect the hive because they've been victimized over and over again. But see, in here, nobody gives them any trouble. I'm very nice to the bees. I tell them how much. Do you have a hive here somewhere? Well, there's some hives in the house. They're not controlled right now, but it's like I got some beekeeper people that are going to help get everything under control again. See, one broken down old person trying to take care of the whole world here is pretty tough. But now all of a sudden it's like it's starting to draw some people together that are really kind of passionate about. Can I take a quick check here to see if there's anything important? But anyway, we're gaining momentum now, and it all seems to be. Oh, it's like the watering is something that this is how they really spread the love. See, when you take and every time I water the plants, it's like to really get them to be super medicinal quality.
Well, these are super big onions, and
those are leeks.
Or leeks. How do they get to be this way?
Well, the soil. See.
It's the soil.
For 40 years I've been putting dead stuff back into the soil.
Okay.
See, dead stuff, death is just a transition.
Right.
The spirit goes back to the Creator. The material, the creation, goes back to the earth. The earth takes and has these little microbes, they're so tiny we can't see them. So if you think how tiny the baby microbe is, how tiny of a bite does it take when it bites the dead material? But it completely takes it apart, see? It makes it to where it's invisible. But now when you put the water on it, what happens is the water makes a magnetic field. It's like, how a magnet draws the particles together? There's a magical thing called the Creator, God, whatever you want to say, that makes this happen. That when we do it, it's a very spiritual, deep, rewarding feeling that if we can get the children to realize how powerful they are, by being nonviolent, by being loving, by being responsible, by being respectful to all life, especially to other humans. See, if we can get this idea across, well, you can see how it's all that material, see?
So I see that in every one of your pots you've got mostly compost, right?
Well, but see,
or is it a mix of compost and soil?
Compost is just it's like, if you can still see what the form was, like this, for example, was a piece of straw.
Right.
And the other stuff you can see there, it's wood shavings and things like that.
Correct.
Then it's compost. But what happens is it breaks down, the end product, the black soil, is called humus.
Which is what you got on the
That's
ground.
right.
Tons of it.
So what I do is, okay, we look at the material that life generates as waste. Why do we do that? It's very valuable. It gives us the means to keep ourselves immune to disease and sickness, and keeps our mind focused, and keeps our loving feelings growing to where we don't want to fight anymore, where we become peaceful, understanding, loving human beings the way we're supposed to be.
So basically you use a lot of waste material to recycle it.
I don't waste anything.
You don't waste anything.
I'm trying to get people to see what I do is I take the black, really super fine material, and I mix it with water. I call it the paste. You know how a paste, tomato paste works? Okay, you take the meatloaf and cover it with tomato paste, especially if it's flavored. What I do is I take and baste the waste with the paste, and when the waste is embraced and encased and engraced in the paste, it's replaced with the soil. It gives food a wonderful taste, and space is displaced. See, you can't have matter and space in the same place. So what I discovered is that I could build a ladder of matter and project myself further out into space when I climb up on top of the ladder. So you see how this is a way to enhance our capacity to utilize space? I call this the subtle shuttle. It's the big mud puddle. This stuff is like a sponge. Yeah. The humus, it attracts and holds so much water that, like after a big rain, you can pick it up and squeeze it out like that. And the black water that comes out is called humic acid. Humic acid is like mother's milk, and the blood of life is to mother's milk. You know what it is to the baby. It's like mother passes the immunity, passes on the nutrition that gets the baby off to a flying start. Mother Earth has all this humic acid that's being wasted that could make the food so medicinal. That, see, the kale plants and things like that, when they have the jagged edge, especially like in the morning when the mist, if it's a drizzly overcast morning, all the beadlets form on the edges of the leaves, and then, oh, there she is. Hi, Tegan. Oh, I have to take. Should we take a break, or should we just pretend like nothing's happening?
We can stop.
Okay.
So you were Mahera was interested in your childhood here, in this house.
Oh, okay. Well, here's the interesting thing about the house. It's like, the house was built by the founder of the cemetery. There's a 57-acre cemetery right across the street called Mountain View. The street here is called Mountain View Street, to where it's like it all ties together in a magical way. It's probably the most incredible story that's never really been told.
Tell us.
So that's like, as a child, I was always nature boy. I would come out here and I would hold my arms out like this, and the butterflies would land up and down my arms, and it's like my father took me over to the canyon, and I would come back with snakes wrapped around me. And it's like, as I grew older, I'd have rattlesnakes wrapped around my neck, and I was so different that people couldn't really accept me. But at the same time, I learned so much from nature. I learned so much from, but anyway, the founder of the cemetery built the house where my older brother and we really truly believed that there was some kind of a spirit that haunted the house, because my family went through really strange stuff, like like the exorcism, where my sister she was into witchcraft, where she had some really strange stuff going on in her life that it takes a little bit too long to explain. But as I was growing up, my parents fought all the time, because my mother. Okay, let me tell you about this. When I was born, according to the story my mother told me, it was June 5th, 1942. The Japanese submarines were out along the coast, so there was blackouts where you had to keep the curtains drawn so they wouldn't have a target to shoot their whatever they were shooting at us. So I was in the hospital. I was being ready to be born. My mother said they lifted the blackout. The nun came in, opened the windows, the curtains to let the light out. an angel of light came in and said that I was the child of the high vibration without which the world could not be saved. So this got me off to kind of a flying start. So as I was growing up, like I say, I just became really just entangled in nature. And but my mother and father fought all the time because my father didn't like the place. He wanted to sell it and get out of here, but my mother had the vision, and her musical mind was so powerful that she would not give up, and they would fight all the time. So my father would curse the place and curse everything, to where it's like my brothers and my sister went through really unbelievable stuff. But it makes the story much better because, I survived, and it's like...
Were you the youngest?
I was the youngest, yes. But my oldest brother, he was he was a plasterer. It's like I was a plasterer too. My grandfather was in the turn of the 20th century, when 1900 became 2000. He was in New York City. Back in the old time, the old buildings had incredible plaster work that they used to have inside, cornice work. He was the best, and he came from Ireland. And my brother became like one of the greatest singers ever. He wasn't really recognized the way he should have been, but I mean, anybody that heard him just knew that he was extra super special.
He's no more?
Well, he performed at this place in Corona del Mar. That's where right next to Laguna Beach, where the really wealthy people hang out. But anyway, it's like it was in a Lowry's restaurant called the Five Crowns, to where some of the most powerful people in the world came there. They loved my brother. He took them on a journey inside themselves that they couldn't get from anybody else. But anyway, his sponsor became Harlan Crow, was one of the wealthiest people in the world. In fact, he was I believe the biggest George W. Bush supporter. So my brother didn't realize the political thing, but he loved the attention that he got. Harlan Crow sponsored a trip in fact, 2 trips to Ireland, where they took the village that my grandparents came from. He knew songs that originated there, but they'd forgotten about. So Harlan Crow, the big shot, would take him to the pubs in that village. He knew more Irish songs than anybody. My father was a entertainer too. He was a singer and dancer and told stories, to where you can see the background is perfect for what I have to do. But the idea, we want to get everybody to go inside themselves. See, the Christians are waiting for Jesus to come out of the clouds. The Christian principle says that God is omnipresent. That means present at all places at all times. So if that's the case, even space is God. How do we explain space? It's here, we know it's here, but we can't touch it, we can't feel it. But if it wasn't here, if everything was matter, our bodies would be imprisoned. But see, by having the matter and space concept, it shows us that we have the potential to be unlimited. The people that run the darkness don't want us to think that thought.
Well, this is kind of like your compost, right?
Well, the humus compost. It's like when it's compost, it still has the fuel value. All this material that grows, if you put it on the fire, especially when it's dead and dried out, it releases this tremendous amount of energy. So it's like, it was maybe 6 or 7 years ago, Robert Spiota came here. He was the producer for Francis Ford Coppola, the big, he produced the Cotton Club and the Black Stallion and the movie called The Apocalypse Now. You remember that?
Yes.
Robert Duvall said, "I love the smell of napalm in the morning." I was telling Robert Spiota how these palm trees here have this tremendous amount of energy and life in them. I don't know if you've ever seen a palm tree catch on fire.
No.
I mean, that one there needs a lot of trimming, but I mean, there's enough energy there to make a bomb. But anyway, the idea is we put that energy into the earth, release it slowly, and we call it yapalm instead of napalm. Napalm is the fire of death. What a flamethrower is? They have this evil thing that it sprays this jelly that it's napalm when it remember the little girl that was running out of Saigon naked, that she took her clothes off because they burned up? But anyway, the line, "I love the smell of napalm in the morning," was part of the Vietnam War movie.
So you named it Ye Palm.
Of course, because it's the fire of life.
So but I'm still really don't know how you can manage this whole space. How do you
I'm
do it?
magic.
You're one person.
I'm broken down in magic, but
No, but seriously, I'm
well,
not
but I got
kidding.
little fairies that come out and help me at night.
No.
They love me.
This is you doing it. But do you plan your day? Do you begin in the morning and don't rest till the night? How?
Well, I talk to the plants
like
and tell them, hey, I
impossible.
need help, you guys. Come on, do your best. And they do it because they love me. Because I love them. You see how powerful love is? This is the message we're trying to get across, that if we use love as a weapon, we can overcome and defeat the darkness and eliminate war and poverty and all the evil things that have plagued mankind from the beginning.
Well, I asked you for a plant that I saw in the other house, and I asked you for it, and I said I'd like to buy it, and you said no, don't buy it. I'll just give it to
They're
you.
weeds. It's like they grow all over the place.
So, but the thing is that you have so much here, right? And you
But see,
keep
I don't
sharing
like to do it for the money.
No,
see.
I know that.
I'd like to do it for the spiritual thing.
And you keep sharing it,
when-
and yet you have so much.
When you feel like you've been spiritually benefited by your contact with me, it does me much more good than if you pass me a couple bucks.
Yeah, I know.
See,
But
we
still.
need to overcome the love of money. Because the love of money has brought us all these evil things that are plaguing America especially. I mean, look at how we're $19 trillion in debt. What does that say? Any business that ran red ink year after would have been bankrupt a long time ago. We got the printing presses in the basement running all the time, printing out more money that's basically worth it if you look at it. If the people didn't believe in it, it wouldn't work. He used to say, paid to the bearer in demand in gold. And then it said silver certificate. And now it says Federal Reserve lots of luck. Well, I mean,
Oh, this is really incredible what you
if people didn't believe in it, it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
That shows the power, the faith of the human mind. That's why Dr. Grace is so powerful. See, look, Levi Giddings was the name of the man, the founder of the cemetery that built the house.
Yes.
Okay.
Levi Giddings.
Levi Giddings. He had a daughter. Her name was Grace.
So he built it for his daughter?
He built the house here. This was they lived. The Giddings family lived in this house. It's like his daughter's name was Grace. See, the grace of God is our Syrian psychiatrist lady, to where we have this extremely powerful thing. Wait till you guys start smiling at each other. You won't believe the connection that you're going to form just on realizing that we're all one spirit. When we do that,
So it's Grace's spirit still here, pretty much.
oh well,
Yeah.
there's so much. Let me tell you a story about when my middle brother passed away.
Yes, tell us.
Okay, it's like,
So you had two other brothers.
well, I had one that died. Okay, this is what happened. My mother's first child was 6 months old. She had to give her a violin recital, so she gave him to a babysitter to take care of. He caught pneumonia and died. So that left Mother with this terrible fear that the rest of us would die. So she instilled this fear into all of us. Now you can see how this is hard to overcome. It was natural because she had lost a 6-month-old baby.
Yeah.
So you can see how. But this was another thing for all of us to have to overcome.
So you said your middle brother, you were going to say how your middle brother passed away. The story you were just going to say, tell us. You said your middle brother passed away.
Oh, okay.
And the story you were going to tell us.
Okay, he lived in a convalescent hospital down here. It's like a big one. It's like he had a nervous breakdown several years before. They took him to Norwalk, where they had the regular insane asylum, pretty much. But anyway, he went to the Veterans Hospital. They abused him there. He ended up in a convalescent hospital down here in Pasadena. It was run by a very prominent African-American couple, Sneeds. Mrs. Sneed would say to my mother when I went to visit, she'd say, oh, when your son Tim comes in there, it's just like Jesus walks in. The whole place lights up, the people light up and everything else. But we're selling the hospital, and we met this wonderful man in San Francisco that's healing cancers, and we're giving all the money to him. We're going to the promised land of Guyana. His name is Jim Jones. Remember Jim Jones?
Oh, yeah.
They came back in pine boxes. At that same year, I incorporated this place as the promised land. See? If they would have come with me,
They would have been alive.
they'd probably be alive. They could have if they would have given me the money, the plants, everything would have been super happy, but they ended up in dying. So my brother was discharged and came home.
Yeah.
That's like he stayed here with me for 17 years.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, but at the end,
So he passed here at home?
well, he passed here, but see, he had this horrible thing. He was possessed by the evil spirit that was in the house. The lady friend that I had is like that lived with me 30 years ago. She experienced like he had bad teeth, so they had to put him down, knock him out for pulling the teeth out. When he came back, the evil spirit didn't wake up to where he was perfectly normal. It was just unbelievable. I mean, so, and this shows that there's something that can't be denied, you know, that's spiritual, that we all have connection with, that we all have little problems that can grow into big problems if we don't deal with them properly. And this is a way with our little groups we have therapy sessions. Dr. Grace she bought 80 acres in Belize, where she's going to build a healing center down there. She calls it Abaton. Abaton's another word for the womb. Hers is the womb. This is the tomb that turns into the womb. That's the uterus. You see how it's all, Mother Earth has the power. So what she's going to do is build a room underground called the womb room, to where you have to pass through a tight opening. It's like you go in, and on the inside, it's going to be lined with beautiful soft pink material, to where you feel like you're back in the womb, where you go in and you get born again, to where the food is going to be. Her sister and I are going to go down there and start a farm that's going to have the loving food. She's like Eve and I'm like Adam. She's the dentist lady. So you can see the story is pretty good. But so after
I noticed you've got your mulberry tree down. Why?
Oh, it just, we're kind of clearing everything out to make more sunlight. It's like the things that are not productive now. I had the idea that I could get it all together and make it work. You can't have the non-productive stuff and the stuff that brings forth the fruit and the food, because the non-productive stuff just muscles it all the way and takes it and
so you
overpowers.
Open it up so that
opening it up to where you get more light and get more. See, I started out with the food thing, but then I got for some reason I got into thinking that ornamental plants that had more value, monetary value, was what I was supposed to do. It wasn't. I got sidetracked by the money thing, and went through many years of trying to take care of all this stuff that I thought was going to bring me fame and fortune and all that. And it just kept, all these things kept happening to where I would go through these ups, where I had producer after producer, filmmaker after filmmaker come that were going to turn this thing into I had this guy named Don Sharp. He was a very big producer back in the 70s. He came here and he said, "Oh my God, this is the lost continent of Atlantis resurfacing. I know Dennis Weaver. I know powerful people. They've got the money. They've got everything. We're going to make this thing into the biggest thing that's ever hit the movies. It's going to be." He went home and died.
Oh my gosh.
Watch out now.
Watch out.
I'm not going home for a while.
Okay. The last writer that came here, before Tegan, 2 weeks after he was here, he committed suicide.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I'm hopefully going to...
Well, no, you look like you got it. All you have to do is hold your love shield up in front of you. The darkness can't touch you.
That's right.
But remember that it wants you, now that you've been infected with the truth.
Well, I'm going to Yosemite, and I hope a bear doesn't catch me first.
Well,
for
it's
the
like,
darkness.
Oh no, you're ready. See, I've been given the gift to be able to talk to people and turn on their inner light. You both are radiating more light than when you came, because you're happier now, because I'm giving you something that we all need to understand. It's not for sale. Right. It's for free. See, the televangelists and the so-called religious people, they're selling their stuff. They take the money and they buy themselves Rolls Royces. Some of the Kenneth Copeland and some of the big shot TV evangelists, they drive Harley Davidson motorcycles, just like the guys down. There's your gold plated. You know how the Hell's Angels. Well, interesting enough, my son that committed suicide, he got involved. His girlfriend was the ex-girlfriend of Sonny Barger, the president of the Hell's Angels. So she broke up with him just before he committed suicide. So you can see how the story is just full of ups and downs and rounds and rounds.
So how many children did you have?
Two. I've got one daughter that's still alive, but she lives far away, so we don't see each other too much.
In Pasadena, I mean,
well,
in Los Angeles?
kind of didn't have a... See, like, my first wife and I split up when she was very young, so the man that my first wife married was well-to-do, so he pretty much adopted the first daughter to where she was, you know, very small when she was.
Grew up with the other father.
Yeah, so he was more or less her father. So, you know, we didn't really connect. But then after he passed away, after she was an adult, so we kind of have reconnected. But it's not as close as it would have been if it would have been. But it doesn't matter. But anyway, it's like, see, it's always got to be. My life has always been the number two, because, you know, Mother would ask you whether you had to go potty number one or potty number two. The whole thing is about everything here has been eaten and consumed. It's all number two. So, so see, I'm a Gemini person. You know, the constellation Gemini is the twins.
Yes.
Dr. Grace is my other twin. She's 22 years and 2 days younger than I am. Our birthdays are 2 days apart.
So your birthday is in June sometime?
June 5th.
June 5th.
Right in the middle of the Gemini thing. To where, in fact, when I was 12 years old, a lady, really super talented artist lady, came and stayed. She broke up with her husband and stayed with her in the house. So she was into astrology. So she, I was 12 years old. She took my time of birth and did a astrological chart. She said at the precise moment that I was born that some magical convergence of planets came along that said that something big had happened. So you can see how, you know, after realizing all this, that I kind of figured, well, the guy died that was going to make this, and here I'm getting rejected by the world. See, as myself, I was rugged. I was, you know, kind of handsome, but, you know, really.
You are handsome.
Well, thank you, but it's like I was very timid. My name is Tim. So you can see, this was a drawback. I couldn't come up to and say, hey, I'm the one. You should really, we should talk. And when I put on, I put on my guru suit. I became the guru of doo-doo. To where now I'm glowing. It's like I had the Elvis Presley sunglasses on. I had this turban that had this scene of the beautiful butterfly flying over a full moon that had beautiful clouds, just kind of hiding it just a little bit. To where the first night I went out as the Zeke, I called myself Zeke the Sheik. Okay, I didn't know why I did that, but it's like later on I found out that Ezekiel in the Old Testament was the prophet, Old Testament prophet that had the most spiritual visions of all. He had the Shekinah vision. You know what that is? Shekinah means the manifestation of the presence of God. So see, when people saw me, they thought they saw God. So I became Zeke the Sheik. Ezekiel is the short is Zeke. Shekinah is spelled S-H-E-I-K-I-N-A. It's like Shekinah. So Zeke the Sheik was perfect because every time they saw me, they thought they saw God.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So like you can see.
Can you tell us what all sort of grows here now? Can you tell us what is growing over here?
Oh well, it's like there's all kinds of different things. It's like I tried to make the garden as biodiverse as I could, just to make it to where it's kind of like a trip into the Garden of Eden and the Promised Land. It's like the idea is to realize that the Garden of Eden is where the Bible starts out, but then Moses and Aaron, they were the ones that led the Israelites out of Egypt. So I became, you know, I had the look the look of Moses, but I call myself Hoses instead of Moses because I take and drag the hoses around. And the main plant that I have growing here now is the Wandering Jew.
The Wandering Jew?
It's
really? Where is it?
It covers up, well see, but it's edible. It's like, it's very good, it's very nutritional. It makes these beautiful, incredible cosmic blue flowers that the bees love. So we take and use the vine Wandering Jew is like a weed that makes so much material that we could feed the sheep and the goats and all the milk producing creatures.
Do you have one here?
Oh, they're all over the place. It's like they're not real close by right here, but if we go around, I'll show you how they take over. They kind of want to do a settlement. So the idea is but if we control them with love, you see. I have a concentration camp for the Wandering Jews here, but okay, for every action there's supposed to be an equal and opposite reaction. The Holocaust was probably the most evil action that ever happened on earth, but we didn't make opposite reaction that kind of reacts the evil and the poison that was released by that bad action. This is the answer. I love the Wandering Jews. The Wandering Jews are one of the power sources that are going to liberate the world of poverty and sickness and disease and all the things that the murderous feelings that people... Look at Abel and Cain. You know, one brother was jealous of the other brother, so he had to kill him because that's what we do.
So when you were planting, did you ever really think about heaven and Cain and Abel? Or,
well, I
or
started to. It's like
spontaneous?
it became more apparent. But see, in 1973, in February, on day 23, I had this vision. It's like, okay, my sister gave me a book called Cosmic Consciousness. It's about most of the visionaries for the first 30 years of their life. They go through life in normal, common consciousness, and then all of a sudden the light shines on them, and they go on a journey, and they see the whole universe, and they come back, and they try to give the spiritual enlightenment to people, and they just go cuckoo, cuckoo. Well, that's what happened to me. It's like, after I had my vision, I tried to share it with people. The producer that came here, he felt it right away. I didn't have to tell him or anything because he was spiritually in tune with the Creator. But see, you know, you can imagine how frustrating it is to have this thing, and at the same time, I saw that Reverend Moon came here. He was the Korean that claimed to be the Messiah. You remember? You ever heard anything?
No.
Oh well, if you ever get into a little time and do a little study on Reverend Moon, was the most antichrist person that ever walked the planet. He was extremely powerful. He had 3,000 corporations. He founded the Washington Times. You know what the Washington Times is, right? It's the right wing. It's the Rush Limbaugh and Sarah Palin newspaper that says, kill him, kill him, kill the fish, kill the moose, eat it all, kill it. That's not the answer. See, if we have a good relationship with the vegetables and eat the vegetables, we live longer, and we don't have to be guilty of killing.
Do you eat mostly raw stuff?
Well,
do you
I
cook it
got
down?
away from it for quite a while because I got possessed by this depression that you can't believe. It's like, but see, that was the problem. I started to say, as Tim, I was very timid, but when I put on the chic suit, I became what I call the intimidator. Because now people were drawn to me and they'd ask me what the thing is, and I had this rhyming mind. I saw that Muhammad Ali used to do rhymes before he'd have a fight. It would kind of mesmerize people and he'd beat them up. So I figured, well, gee, I'm really powerful. I can beat people up, and I've got this vision. Reverend Moon came here. He had thousands of people who were selling flowers in airports and doing all this stuff that didn't make sense because he was obviously an antichrist person. So you can see how the whole thing is. It's about showing that, you know, I could have done a lot better if I would understand what was going on. But it's like
you could have done stand-up comedy.
Well,
If you do a show, you could, you know.
You could make people laugh a lot.
They can book you.
Here's a good one. You want to hear a good one? Okay, I got into the value of the plants that are illegal, the mushrooms that are illegal, and the plant that you smoke. So I got arrested back in 1983 when Ronald Reagan was president. Where I mean, these were horrible, offensive crimes. I got busted for 4 felonies. I had 2,200 grams of the smoking stuff. I had almost 2 pounds of magic mushrooms. I had I had almost 200 plants on top of the roof that I was growing. I sold directly to a narcotics officer.
Oh my God.
I was out on bail. Almost a year later, I got arrested a second time, and my girlfriend was with me. She got thrown in jail, and it's like I got busted for 2 more felonies. So when I went to court on the first time, I put on the chic suit, and my lawyer said, "Now, Mr. Dundon operates as an alter ego character. He would like to testify as Zeke the Sheik." And I said, "Well, I guess there's not, well, but there doesn't seem to be anything in the rules that stops it." So I started talking in rhymes, and it's like it was so funny to them that they laughed hysterically. And the prosecutor at the end of the thing said, "We don't want Mr. Dundon in jail. They could have had me for 11 years." And they said,
We don't want him here.
No, so they gave me a token sentence of, you know, token is what the people that smoke the plant call it, of 18 days.
Oh, nice.
Do you know who Tommy Chong is?
No.
Cheech and Chong, the
Oh,
comedians.
yeah, of course.
Okay, he was making bongs. You know what a bong is? It's for smoking. It's like a hookah kind of like thing. He got 18 months for just manufacturing bongs and so on. I had all these 6 felonies, 2 different busts and everything. I got 18 days, and they were glad to get when I got out of jail. They were glad to get rid of me. They just said, just get rid of him. Don't ever arrest him again for this. It was so funny that this law professor at UCLA, he broke out the case of the people of the state of California against Dundon. That's my last name, Dundon. Dundon, 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 crap, man. So anyway, the law professor takes the people. Is it okay if we laugh? It's good, right?
The camera's gonna shake.
Okay. I just want to make sure I'm not stepping over any boundaries. But anyway, it's like the whole thing was just such a thing that the law professor at UCLA he broke this out for the students. He said, no, the right rhyme for the right crime will get you a lot less time.
The right rhyme for the right crime will get you a lot less time. So you worked on that.
And everybody laughed in the class. They thought it was the funniest thing ever because it's pretty funny when you think about it. Because I was being guided by the spirit of the Creator to talk about God in the court, and they didn't understand it, so they laughed. So you see how we got the transcripts from the 2 different court cases? They're so powerful and so heavy that we're going to incorporate them in the play we're doing. We're getting all these people together. We're going to do a play about how to overcome evil and to eliminate war and to take and get inside of the people's minds and flush.
So all these young folks.
Well, they're all becoming my disciples. We need to get a young force of, see, a lot of young people can't relate to somebody like me because I'm too old, too crazy, too everything, too
different.
Well, too different, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's like at the same time, these guys have realized that we're all the same. So when we share that realization and do it in the right way, we become extremely powerful. Do you feel more empowered now that we've had this little conversation? Do you
I'm so glad we've come.
Well, you're releasing demonic spirits by laughing and having a good time. We all have a bad side of us that when things are balanced out, when the good side's in control, there's no problem. But that's why a lot of people get psychotic. But that's why Dr. Grace is so important.
How did you meet Dr. Grace?
Oh, through Jeff. He's the Indonesian guy that's the master builder that helped Grace inherited her house from her Jewish godmother. So it was badly termite infested. So Jeff tore it down and rebuilt it for her into a...
And Jeff knows you.
Well, Jeff came here. His sister is here to get the compost.
Oh, I see.
So Jeff came in and all of a sudden he goes, holy bleep, this is the answer. So he's been working for Grace and her sister Ellie for a long time. So he keeps telling, you got to meet this guy, you got to meet this guy, you got to meet this guy. So the first time Grace came, she was just by herself with Jeff. It blew her mind. So she said, well, I've got to come back. But she was so overwhelmed that she had to bring her psychiatrist colleague, a very attractive Chinese-American lady that is the opposite of Grace. She prescribes lots of medication because she gets an extra $100 grand from the pharmaceutical people. Her Mercedes is so good that it parks itself. So Grace comes the second time. We all go back in the backyard. She has a religious experience. Irma is the name of the child. She was, she didn't quite get it, but she didn't care because she had lots of money. But anyway, it's like when I asked Grace what her name was, and she said Grace, and I had my pull toy, Amazing. Oh, Jamie, could you go over there and bring me Amazing Grace, the mace? See, I was an iron worker. Okay. First of all, I was a plasterer. I worked for Plasterers Local Number 2 on the first 2.2-story buildings in downtown LA. I was going blind I used to spray asbestos on the structural steel to where it's fireproofing. When you fly the airplanes into the buildings, they don't see. This is what I call Amazing Grace. This is, as the Sheik, I became the bright light knight, Remember the Knights of olden days had a thing called a mace? This was Amazing Grace, my mace, in case they wanted to give chase and get on my case. Amazing Grace could erase every trace of their face, but it was just in case. So when I swung that thing around like this for the cops, they'd say, it's the most deadly weapon I've ever seen, but they wouldn't arrest me because the word was like, don't touch him. So you can see how the thing was so powerful that it kind of cancels itself out. That all these producers I had, Mike Hoover from CBS, he was a senior news producer right under Dan Rather back in 2002 for Channel 2. Okay.
And your number is 2.
Oh, I'm number 2, the Guru of Doo-Doo. So you can see how, okay, we went to the 2nd Street School in Boyle Heights, 2nd Street, get it? Okay. This was after we did a thing at the cable TV station in just up for, I forget which town it was, but anyway, we went to and met the teacher lady. Her name was Scully. Remember the X-Files? They had Mulder and Scully. Well, this is Mulder, and we took the Mulder to Scully. Brendan Scully was this progressive science teacher that had the young science class at 2nd Street School. They took and made holes in the asphalt, and they grew butterfly plants that attracted. They would go out, get the butterfly eggs, put them inside in a terrarium, and when the butterflies came out, they would release them back into the wild. Anyway, Mike Hoover, the producer, got in touch with this Brendan Scully lady, so he set up a date where the second time we were going to go over there, number 2, was it was the 9th of May of 2002. The 9th of May is the second day of the second week of the second month of the second quarter of 2002, but he couldn't make it on that date, so he had to postpone it and make it the second Tuesday. It was the second date. So
always 2.
To make the story a little bit more interesting, he had a Volkswagen bus. They have, you know, the old buses that the hippies drive around. They have the big long stick shift that you shift the gears with. He's coming up the street, he's reaching for second gear, and the stick shift breaks off inside the transmission. He got stuck in first. So he called me, oh, this is my movie maker friend.
Movie maker number 12.
He's not. Oh, this is a filmmaker lady from Pakistan. We're making a film. You might want to inject. Oh, and this is Amber, his girlfriend.
Hi.
Oh, this is going to be brutal.
It's too many of us here.
You might have to get a special editor for this one. It's Ari and Amber.
Hi.
And you'll have to help me with your names.
I'm Tahereh.
Tahereh.
Nice to
Hi,
meet you.
Ari.
Mahera.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
These are Pakistani ladies. It's like, and the Syrian ladies are coming in a while. So yeah.
Oh, nice.
And you guys came from that other world called the West Side?
Yeah. Well, Silver Lake.
Well, they came 2 weeks ago, and we had a session with Sean, the filmmaker. What did you guys think of that? It was kind of. We laughed so much. It was.
I know we're laughing so much. Mahera's trying to keep us on track, but.
Well, but I mean, we're gonna really.
Well, how about your last words for Mahera?
Yeah, and then we'll just.
Last words for this afternoon.
We'll just wrap up for
So
this
we'll wrap
afternoon.
So tell us something that you really want us to know about your life,
you haven't
yourself,
told us
or something
already.
that you haven't
Well,
told
it's
us.
like I say, all of a sudden the whole thing is coming to fruition. Ever since I had the vision that said my mission was to form the coalition for the abolition of nuclear fission, and in addition, wipe out malnutrition and put the whole country and the whole planet back into condition, it put me under a great deal of suspicion. So that's why I made the transition and became the politician with the mission that's here to take you all fishing. In other words, we're going to turn this thing into a paradise park, have streams and ponds and grow fish and feed the multitudes. It's like the idea is to show people.
The idea is to feed.
To feed people living food that has got
Spiritually and
medicinal
physically,
healing
yes.
qualities that are just unbelievably powerful. This is it's going to bring peace on earth. It's going to take and shut the darkness. People are going to. It's like what happens when you bring Dracula out into the sunlight. He burns up. He's an illusion. But as long as you allow him to hide in the darkness, he gains power. When we get everybody in the light, the darkness can't exist. We all have a switch inside of us that you ladies are both glowing much more than when you came here. That the idea is to get people to turn on their inner light and start glowing and radiating. how much do women, especially a lot of guys now too, pay to put on an artificial glow? How much is the real glow from the inside really worth to the right people? But it's not monetary. It's about, now you ladies are, I just ask you to spread goodwill into the world. Especially Pakistan and the Middle East, where this is needed more than anything. Well, no, I got her.
That's why we are here, recording you, because you're doing this incredible good, peaceful work.
Well, see, the flies are the answer to the whole thing, see? Right away you realize what this really signifies and implies is that the flies can be turned into the ultimate food supply because they, okay, the fish, how many of the birds, how many of the chickens, the ducks, everything, see the flies as being ultimate food source, they eat it. Humans are the only ones smart enough to realize that God made a mistake when He created the flies. Get it?
No.
Huh?
Why was it a mistake?
You didn't get it?
No.
God can't make a mistake. Humans think that God made a mistake because they hate the flies. You know what I tell people that come here and they say they hate the flies? I hope you get reincarnated as a spider over and over again. Isn't that a good one?
On that note.
And they occupy themselves with things that heal their wounds, make them where they don't commit suicide anymore. How valuable is that? And it's not for money.
There's no price to it.
It's not for, and these guys here, they're on a mission to spread the word of Jesus Christ. And